Morning everyone. Today's show and tell will involve very old manky rolling pin. And please excuse my very old manky cutting board. I've had it for a long time and it's seen a lot of use. What I'm planning to do today is show you how I make my hardcovers for my books. I'm not going to go into massive amount of detail because again, as I said before, there's lots of tutorials out there on how to make hardcover. But this is how I do mine and how I get my very slightly curved spine. As you can see, it's not massive, it's not a massive curve, but it's just enough to give a little bit more interest to the book than a flat one. So I will just show you the first stage. I'll disappear, do a bit more and come back and show you what I've done. So you don't have to sit and watch me do all the really boring bits. Okay. So first thing first, I cut out my pieces for my cover. This is grey board. It's quite a thin one. I think it's only about 1 millimetre or 1.5 millimetres. And I literally cut out 2 pieces, front and back, 4.5 by 8.5. And that's because that's 8.5 is the depth that these come in. If you're in other countries, it may be slightly different, but I only cut it the height of the sheet of grey board. 1.5 inch spine. So I've got the front, the back, the 1.5 inch spine. Now what I do, first stage, is I take the back of the spine, and I don't know if you can see there, but there's some tiny grooves, and I literally use my metal ruler and my utility knife, whatever it is, it's quite a hefty one, and I literally lightly score. You don't want to cut very hard because you don't want to cut through the board. You just want to go down enough so that you break the surface, if you can see that. And I just do that all the way across the spine. Right, I'm going to disappear off and get the bits and pieces together for the cover, and I'll show you how I put it together. Okay, so I've taken the front and the back, and using some duct tape, sort of really strong, I don't know if it's called gaffer tape somewhere else, but anyway, we call it duct tape. I've just attached the spine to the front and back. If you can see, there's just a little tiny gap between the two, and that is what gives you your hinge and also gives you the ability to make a little bit of a groove in there when you put your cover on. And I've I've stuck the spine on with the groovy bit to the outside. So all this that I'm looking at here is the flat board. Right, time to put the cover on. Okay, so this is where the rolling pin comes into effect. Before I put the fabric on the outside, I take the book and just lay the spine over the top of the rolling pin, and then just gently roll it. And you'll feel that the spine bends. It doesn't bend, it sort of just changes shape slightly. If you want a more defined curve, I've found that if you put glue on the spine over the top of the ridges before you put the gaffer tape on, or the duct tape, you can get a more defined curve, but that's not really what I'm after in this instance. So can you see? We've now got a slightly curved spine. Not massive, but it's kind of in line with a normal book. So there we go. I'm going to put the cover on it and come back and show you what it looks like. As I say, I won't bore you with all the here's how to glue, here's how to mitre the corners, because you can find that out elsewhere. But the tip about the curve is one that I haven't actually seen anywhere else, and I thought you might be interested. So I'll put the cover on and I'll come back and show you. So there you go. Put the fabric on. This is just some tea-dyed muslin, calico we call it in the UK. So it's not overly pretty inside, but no worries, we'll cover that all up when we do the rest of the journal. But you can see, I hope, that we've got a very slightly curved spine. And I've defined the grooves there. What I use for that, I've lost my bone folder, so I'm using all sorts of bits and pieces at the moment, but I've got a crochet hook, and when the glue is wet, I just run that down there. And then you do get those nice grooves. You can actually make those grooves more defined by using a thicker grey board for the front and back cover than you do for the spine itself. So if I'd have had some 2mm grey board, I'd have probably used that for the front and back, and then use this 1mm for the spine, and that would make these grooves more pronounced. But I haven't got any at the moment. I could have probably glued two bits together, but I didn't think about that. So there you go, that's how I get a slightly curved spine on my hardback books with a rolling pin. Hope it was helpful.